bring them to justice. That's what we're going to try to do today, and I want every single one of you to be a part of this. Something I want to mention right off the bat, this is going to be a conversation, this is not a show. This is a conversation with real victims' family members who are hurting every single day in the loss of their children, right? Our role is to support them and to help them and to protect anyone else from the person who did this. Our role, and in that role, there are going to be images in the monitors that I highly recommend you bring out your phone and you photograph. Normally, we ask you to turn your phones off during a presentation. I'm going to ask you to turn your phone on and take photographs of the flyers, the billboards, the hashtag Abby and Libby, and the FBI and the tip line. Because the more you share that, the more you send that out to your followers, your friends, and the more they share, that word gets out. It is critical, it's important, and you are part of it, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. Without further ado, today is all about Abby Williams and Liberty German and finding their killer. This is the story of the crime behind them. Police have been desperately sifting through thousands of tips, trying to find out who killed two young girls who were out for an afternoon walk in the woods.
They were supposed to meet a family member to be picked up. The girls never showed up.
This is considered a double homicide investigation.
Oh, everybody's upset. They just can't believe somebody would do that to those little girls.
Authorities have now put out a picture of a man they'd like to speak with.
Police released this image from Liberty's cell phone. That's their prime suspect in the case. Take a good close look, a very, very close look. And then an audio file as well from the phone. And the voice could be the man in the photo. Just 3 words on it, down the hill. Listen.
This may be the first strong lead authorities have to finding the killer of teenagers Abby Williams and Liberty German.
Most people are scared and worried about their kids and their grandkids.
And if they're not scared, there's something wrong.
Nobody in custody at this time. And yes, there is somebody out there that did this horrendous crime.
We're going to get to the bottom of this. We feel confident.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring out to the stage, if I can, Mike and Becky Patty. They're the grandparents of Liberty German. Anna Williams, she's the mother of Abigail Williams. And First Sergeant Jerry Holman, he's the District Investigative Commander of the Indiana State Police. He's overseeing this investigation. Let's give them a round of applause for the bravery it takes to do this kind of an information series. You're going to be great. You're going to do great things today, okay? Have a seat, everyone. It's been about a year and 3 months since the world completely flipped for this family. And Sergeant Holman, I think maybe the best thing to do at this phase would be to sort of give us a play-by-play, a short précis of where we are in this investigation and where we're going.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank HLN and Ashley for having us. But most importantly, I want to thank the family, Mike, Becky, and Anna. Because of them is why we're here today. They have really helped us out. They go across the state, the nation, setting up these media outlets and setting up the booths at festivals. And that really helps keep this case alive, and we're very appreciative of that. And secondly, all the law enforcement agencies that have helped us, there's too many to name. Even Canada, we've reached out. We've had tips from every state, everywhere in the nation, and we reach out to state, local, and federal agencies to help us daily. In the community, the county, the city of Delphi has just been, it's humbling at times. It's overwhelming, the support that they give us. So I want to thank them as well. And most importantly, the families of all the investigators as well. 'Cause this, as you're going to see, if Anna starts crying again, I'm going to start crying too. It's very tough. We are very passionate about this case. And so I want to thank all the families. My wife is here with me, so thank her too. But most importantly, besides the family, is Unified Command. It makes up of lead detectives from the FBI, the state police, Delphi City, and Carroll County. And that's what we call Unified Command. And we've been together from day one, working on this case as hard as we can. And we're utilizing every resource, state, local, and federal, to get to the bottom of it. So today where we're at is we're here because we're still looking for that guy right there. We have not been able to identify him. And that's who we're looking for. That's what we know. There's a lot of things going on daily. We get tips and leads coming in on the tip line and also the email line. And we're a little behind. I think we're at a total of 35,000, over 35,000 tips and leads. And it's, again, overwhelming, but we appreciate everybody assisting us with getting the information that we need. So pretty much that's where we're at today. We're not giving up. It's not a cold case. I hate hearing those two words. It's not a cold case. We're still getting a lot of information coming in. We're still following up on a lot of things. So keep up the great work, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this. There's a lot of people that are committed to solving this crime, and we owe that to Abby and Libby and these people right here and their families.
Wow.
And
Sergeant, notwithstanding how difficult this is for you guys, it is critical to keep the case in the public eye, because that's how the tips come in. Is it true that after the Dr. Phil interview that you all did, Sergeant, 140 tips came in?
yes, that day we had 140, and then I think when people maybe T-voted it, and then a couple days later we got probably 500 by the end of the week.
500?
And also Dr. Oz, and then Megan Kelly as well.
Yeah, gonna be right back, guys. Let's see. Oh shit, it's the wrong one. Be right back.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I was gonna post that I was gonna be right back, but apparently Google found it necessary to throw me out my Google account, and I didn't set up a recovery password yet or a recovery email, and I used my own old phone number. So that's kind of thing, but I still can stream though. But I was gonna like switch to Twitch, but since I still can stream on here, I'm kind of hopeful that Google's gonna recover my account. Did send an email, but anyways, I'm back. Okay, let's go.
Time we do
I set it on pause because I didn't see this one yet.
a show like this, we call the tip line and give them a heads up because we're
Anyways,
we're
what's up,
looking
guys?
forward to getting more tips and leads.
Anna, I came and hugged you because I know that this is really grueling. How are you managing to do the appearances that you're doing to keep this story in the forefront?
This is our new job. It is a full-time job, and then when we're not doing this full-time job, we have other full-time jobs and families, and things continue to happen in our lives, but this is still here. I just had a gal ask me earlier this week, and she said, it's going to be Abby's 15th birthday this year, isn't it? And I said, yeah. They should be driving. They should have been doing their first formal this year in high school. They should have been doing a lot of things, but we're not.
Can you guys hear that everything's good?
One of the things that they had an interest in was actually forensic science, which was kind of an irony. Abby was looking forward to doing her freshman year and including forensic science classes. So for them and for her, we have to do this, guys. We have to find him.
Mike and Becky, you wake up every day, you've got your photographs. When you look into those photographs, are you re-energized? Are you reinvigorated? Does it give you a brand new day? Is this day by day?
Yeah, every day, as I've said, and it continues. I walk down the hallway, see your picture, say good morning, and instead of hollering upstairs to wake two girls up, I only do one now. And then I start to get frustrated, is a way to put it. And I think the anger of the fact that she's gone, somebody's taken our girls from us, and that's what drives me. I have to find this guy. I'll do whatever it takes, go to whatever paces I have to go through. I'm not going to stop until we catch this guy, or I've exhausted every effort that I humanly possibly can. We owe it to the girls. We owe it to our community, our state, our nation. This guy's out there. The fact of the matter is there's a killer out there who's, guilty of a double homicide, and he's walking our streets. He lives somewhere down the road from somebody. I'm going to keep going and keep handing out flyers and going on shows or talking to anybody who, I love when somebody says, I haven't heard about this case. Great. You're a person I need to talk to, because you may know somebody, and share it with your friends and your network of people, because somebody out there knows this guy. They know him. They may not know about the case yet. And as soon as they do, all they need to do is call that tip in. Like Jerry said, he has a wealth of network going on where they can check tips and leads and the information that's available at their fingertips.
Hey, what's up, Captain?
That's all we need is that little last piece of this puzzle. Give us this guy.
I'm going to keep asking for our audio and visual professionals to toggle between the picture of the flyer and the picture of us on this stage, because I know if you're back, it's hard to see us up close. And I do want you to be able to see the images of us on the stage, but I also really, really, really want you to take photographs of this flyer, the tip line, and the hashtag. Abby and Libby. This is the hashtag that you'd prefer that is used. There's one really important aspect to the hashtag and to social media, and I think, Sergeant, you'll probably agree. It's not for your sleuthing. It's for getting the message out and helping
You all
get
good,
tips
Captain?
in. But it's not for posting pictures of a guy you work with that you think might look like this person. That actually causes more problems. And so that's a great message if you're tweeting, if you're posting on Facebook, Instagram. These are the pieces of information, clean and simple, but let's not try to become minor league detectives. It makes for a lot of stress. So that's just one cautionary tale. If I can, Becky, I came out here before you came out, and I said, in the last week, we caught someone. And I think that dozens, if not hundreds of people thought it would never happen. After 40 years, the Golden State Killer may just have been hauled in, and he may just have to account for those heinous crimes in California. Does that somehow, in a far-reaching way, tell you there's hope no matter what?
Guys, I saw a small segment of this, and I wanted to watch the whole thing, and it's really hard to find unless you go to this website, so definitely go there. I'm not taking credit for recording this, but there's a lot of interesting stuff. I saw a segment of it, and it explains the sketch. So that goes along with the confusion, you know? That clears things up, and that's what we like on this channel, obviously.
Oh, yes. I don't want to be here 40 years from now. My daughter told me I'm too old for that, but I will be. I'll be here. But you know, science has come a long ways in 40 years. So it may have taken them 40. But with the technology today, I have all the faith in the world that it's going to be a lot sooner.
So, Sergeant, the pressing questions are oftentimes the questions you can't answer. It doesn't mean that it's not on the minds of everybody. I think most people want to know, how did this happen? How did he do it? What did he do? Were those children molested? Were they assaulted in unspeakable ways? These are all the questions that are out there, and I know you can't answer them. Is there a reason in specific that you can't?
Well, a couple reasons. Number one is respect for the family. We don't want to share any personal information that brings this back, although I mean, they live with it daily. Second is to protect the integrity of the investigation. We do not want to share information that only we believe the killer or killers know. Because when we're interviewing those people, they know the details, we know the details.
That's the murder sheet, right? You're talking about. I do not know about that.
Unfortunately.
I honestly do not.
But we know the details. So we do get tips from,
I will let you guys show us something in a second, but I want to watch this first.
Talking to so-and-so, and they said this about how the crime occurred. And we can vet those out fairly quickly because of how they're telling us. We know the details. So we don't want that. It just makes the investigation harder. And a lot of people will tell me, well, you're not going to get this guy to confess. You haven't found him in 15 months or 16 months. We may not confess to me, but he might confess to somebody else. And if that person comes and tells me the details that only the killer would know, because we're not releasing it to the public, I would love to. I would love to give all the information out and let everybody conduct their own investigation off of the facts and not the information that some people share on social media. Social media is great, but it can be, like Ashley said earlier, it's very tough when people are doing their own investigations off of false information. So,
exactly.
But we just can't do it.
It makes perfect sense. I think for those of us who work in crime, it's crime fighting 101. John Mark Carr confessed to the killing of John Benet Ramsey, and there were details that he didn't know. And that was one of the #1 reasons why they could exclude him fairly quickly from having been arrested and charged with that crime. So in that respect, I completely understand. But with what's happened with the Golden State Killer, it naturally leapfrogs me to say, oh my God, do you have DNA? Can you access these public genealogy websites? Can that be the same successful crime-fighting tool for you as it was for the authorities in California?
That's a great question, and we will not deny nor confirm whether or not we have DNA, but I think the public realizes that a crime like this, very, very rarely do we not come up with DNA. But without going into great detail, I will tell you this, we have utilized every resource available. If the evidence is there, we will reach out to...
And he's right there, guys. It's really hard to not leave DNA unless you have like some sort of hazmat suit or a forensic suit that covers like your whole body, because every single time you do an action, you drop like hundreds of dead skin cells. That's from your hair or your skin. That's how you get dust, for example. Dust are mainly particles of dead skin cells.
The DNA people that what was the word you used?
Genealogy.
Ancestor.com.
So the genealogy websites, and it's now becoming a very tender area. You know, there could be reams of litigation that come down the pike because of the access to the information. However, if you sign up for these sites, right? You have agreed to present your DNA. Don't cry later on. But I can see how this can be a new frontier in crime fighting, an amazing tool that comes with its limitations as well. But I was fascinated to sort of test the water with you to see if that's potentially an area that can be mined.
We're not going to rule out anything if it's something that we've already discussed it. If it's something we haven't done, any new technology that comes available, we look into it, and we'll definitely use whatever it takes if possible.
I read reams and reams of articles, local, national. I watched national news stories. I covered this story, and one of the details that I came across made me sort of tweak slightly. And it was, I think you'll remember, there were, I think, a couple hundred people who came out for a faith hike after Abby and Libby were discovered. And I wasn't sure if it was a hike to take back the evil that they saw happened in that area, or if it was a hike to see if they couldn't find clues. Can you weigh in any respect as to whether A, that hike did yield any clues, any physical evidence, and B, whether it might be worth generating another one of these hikes? And maybe it's not a faith hike, maybe it's an evidence hike, even a year later.
Not to my knowledge. Now, we have, I don't know about the specific one, maybe Mike or Becky can...
Do you remember the hike?
Yeah, it was Becky, she was there as I was traveling.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Some of the churches got together and they blessed the ground, and because people were afraid to go out there. Mm-hmm. And so it was basically, we went out to take our trails back, that we weren't going to let evil take over. So that's what we went out that day.
Would it, Sergeant, be worth it, even a year and 3
Welcome,
months
guys.
later, to recomb, if you can get that many volunteers, to recomb the terrain to find things? I know in Casey Anthony, in that particular case, there were pieces of evidence that were reclaimed in a circumference that far outweighed what they thought it could, much later on.
That's a great question, and I can tell you that investigators have been out there many a times, and I know other citizens have brought us articles that they found, and we've collected those and put those into evidence and done whatever we could with those items that were located. So to answer your question, I think, yeah, we have been out there several times since February 13, 2017, and we will continue to go out there. There's people that go out there just because they feel like they get closer to the crime and they feel like they need to go out there to help with them, motivating them to do the investigation. But yeah, we
By the way, for the guys who do not know this, guys, this is the lead investigator. We see a lot of Doug Carter, but he has barely to do anything with this case. He's like the PR guy, but this is the lead detective.
I don't necessarily encourage them to go out there without permission because it is private property, and sometimes we overstep our welcome or our boundaries there. So, but if you did it the right way, and somebody finds something and they do it the right way and they contact police right away so we can collect it properly, then I would say, yeah, it could be beneficial.
Just a show of hands in the audience, if I could. How many of you saw coverage on local or national news of this case? How many of you did not?
Coverage.
So far more of you saw coverage of this case than did not. For those of you who saw the coverage, and for those of you who did not see the coverage, a very important piece of evidence that was recovered in this case came from the girl's cell phone. And it was an audio clip of the man's voice. We've looped it several times because it is a split second, so to hear it several times is helpful. To get that out on social media, to continue to hear that, just might tweak someone's memory of someone who sounds like that. Can I ask our audiovisual professionals that they can roll that clip of that sound? Down the hill, down the hill. This was Libby's cell phone, wasn't it?
This is 2018.
Yeah. Libby was able
guys.
to not only
A year after
capture
the
that
murders
audio,
happened.
she captured that image, that grainy image of that suspect. But Sergeant, I mean, really, honestly, the hero that child was, to have the sense, you know, to have the wherewithal to be able to do that and to help us in our endeavor today is just nothing short of remarkable. I am curious about the sketch on the screen, Sergeant, because the grainy picture doesn't show the face, but there were witnesses, if I'm not mistaken, who were able to lend information that got you to the sketch. Can you tell me a little bit about the witnesses?
Let's do this closely.
Where did they come from? What did they see?
I don't want to go into great detail, but they were near or on the trail. We have several sketches, but we've identified some of the people that they sketched. One of them was Mike. After when they were
hey, I was out there looking that day. I mean, when
okay, did you guys hear that? Let's rewind that. So that's an official saying that the first sketch was based on Mike Patty.
Where did they come from? What did they see?
I don't want to go into great detail, but they were near or on the trail. We have several sketches, but we've identified some of the people that they sketched. One of them was Mike. After when they were
hey, I was out there looking that day.
That's why I'm sharing this. That's why I'm sharing this. This is why I want to do a marathon run today. I'm streaming all day, guys, all day long, guys, and only giving like facts. We do not do speculation here. Only facts. And this is a year after, so it's high probability that this is just correct information. So the young guy sketch we're gonna look into.
I mean, when
they called the police,
came in.
Yeah, let me clarify that. I know that, but after there's plenty of people.
Welcome,
out there,
Tessa.
Numerous people out there afterwards helping with the search, and we got a lot of sketches of those people as well, including Mike. I think maybe not, but but this sketch is several months. It didn't just happen in one day.
It came out in August, correct?
What's that?
It came out in August or July? Okay,
Yes.
so the summer following the February 13th murders.
Right.
That's when the sketch was released. So it's interesting to sort of get that information.
Yeah, why so
several
long?
months. Yeah, why so many? I'm pressing you here, obviously.
You can ask the tough questions, I'll answer them. Again, it takes a lot of time. I'm not a sketch artist, but the FBI actually, an agent from the FBI did this sketch. And, you know, I think when somebody sketches it,
Or is he talking about the new sketch?
It takes several weeks.
Like I said, I didn't watch that, but
to
I
get
thought
the
it was key.
information, to find the people that
It kind of looks
that
like Mike,
we
right?
believe saw that person that day near the time of the murders, that takes months. So we had to locate these people, interview them, find out who they really saw. Did they really see the guy on the bridge from the video, or did they see Mike out there helping search,
See, there
or
we
did
go.
they see somebody else out there
Confirmation.
helping with the search? So we had to identify those people, and once we felt like we identified the people that actually saw the guy on the bridge, then the sketch itself took, again, several weeks. They sketched it, looked at it. No, that's not correct. And I will
initial
say
thought
that
was,
she's
correct.
still, there's a couple people still aren't convinced that that's the proper hat, but that's the hat that the sketch artist could come up with as close to what the witnesses were describing. And I know the superintendent said, don't focus on the sketch, and we got a lot of calls on that. I think what he meant to say was, there's 4 or 5 of us up here right now, and if we picked somebody out of the room right now and identified them to a sketch artist, there'd be 5 different sketches. They'd have the similar features as we believe the sketch has of the guy on the bridge, but they'd be a little different. So I think that's what he meant is the person that did this heinous crime may not exactly look like that sketch. That's what the person's information, and then the sketch artist had to take that information in and then put it on paper. So it's not always going to be perfect, but we think that's a really good sketch, and we think it's really close to the person that we're looking for that's on the bridge.
I'm glad that you...
It's kind of confusing to me, though, because he says that one of the sketches was Mike, or that this sketch was Mike. But I guess that's why they are saying that don't focus on the face because it's not a photograph.
Said that because we all think that if you see someone, you could describe someone and get a great composite sketch. And I recall when we were covering the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, the person who described what she saw, which lent to so much news coverage, ultimately had to admit that she saw it on TV, that she hadn't actually seen the thing at all, that she thought she had. Her memory was that she'd seen it, but that ultimately she'd seen an account given on television and then recited the account that was given on television. And I think it was, you might all remember this, it was because it was very specific, the expression she said, he was shot down like a dog. And shot down like a dog had been a quote that had run on the news that night, over and over and over and over again. And
we'll check that out, Captain. Thank you for that information.
People who see something somewhere else can ascribe that to what they think they saw at the actual moment. I want to ask you, Anna, if I can, the notion that when something like this happens, just like holding something back that only the killer would know is crime fighting 101, also looking at the families first is crime fighting 101, and it is excruciating for families. Can you help us to understand, those of us who have not walked in your shoes, what it is like not only to be going through this awful grief, but to know that you're being questioned and scrutinized?
It's the worst kind of famous a person could ask for. They go through your photos, they go through your friends, they call, email, private message people that you haven't seen in years. They dig into everybody's life. And they come to you saying, well, I heard, I know, somebody said. And I'm like, why are you even coming to me with this? You heard, you think, whatever it may be. We found that social media is wonderful for the fact that we get these flyers out so fast. The posts of the girls missing went out so fast because of social media. But it can make people feel so very connected that they don't realize how intrusive it really is.
And angry and troll-like.
Yes, that they take it upon themselves to send you things that you really don't want to see, you don't really want to hear. It's not our jobs. We've all encountered somebody, I just know it's this, I just know it's this person. And please call Jerry at the tip line. Please call somebody else because I can't do this.
Yeah.
The
parents of the children who were shot in Newtown, the 20 children, first graders who were shot in Newtown, are trolled regularly. And they're called liars. They're called conspiracy theorists. There are people who've been arrested for doing this kind of thing. Have you had any of this happen to you?
I haven't had anybody arrested, but I've had my fair share of shots taken at us.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Social media, like Anna was saying, it's been a great tool because you can quickly get things out there and share it, and all of a sudden, it's 100,000 likes or something, quickly, and it gets out there. But people jump to conclusions. I mean, let's face it, this guy, this sketch, I have features that resemble that. Most Midwestern guys, with my build and stature.
So let's clear that up. He even admits that he looks like it.
Can look like that.
Yeah.
All right. It's not me. Jerry, and Doug would not travel around the United States with us You know, they've checked me. I was at work. I have to badge in twice. I'm on camera. I mean, it's a. But people won't take that. That's not doesn't fit their agenda when they're out there. It's easy to hide behind a keyboard and take shots and say it's Mike Patty. He's the worst guy ever. You know, I've been called everything. Trust me. There's been. I mean, it breaks my wife and my family down to tears. And I tell them, guys, I'm not going to let that bother me. I will not let naysayers and people. Thank you. I'm not going to let these naysayers and people change the agenda and the focus that I'm on. I'm focused to catch this guy. And I wish people wouldn't do it, but those people who do that, it's easy to hide behind the keyboard. I've never had one of them come up to my face and say, Mike, you're a child molesting killer type of guy.
You know, I've never had anybody walk up to me on the
Okay, that's interesting. Not sure what we can learn from that, but
street and say, "You're Ashley Banfield. You stink."
So,
I know many think that.
Well, yeah, and if they would actually take the time to get to know me,
Yep.
you know what I mean, if anybody knows me, I'm kind of an action-based guy. You know what I mean, I'm going to get my hands on. When you were saying something about, what about going out there and searching? Yeah, I did. I'm kind of a engineering type mentality. I grid system the thing. I put together a bunch of guys and we gridded that thing and had a search party to look for clues and evidence. I worked with the police on that. They knew I was doing it. I said, hey, this is what I'm willing to do. I got to do something. I'm not going to sit by idly and just wait for that magic call. None of us are. That's why we're doing what we're doing out here, I call, you can ask Jerry. I said, Jerry, tell me what to do. What do you want me to do?
what's going on? Looks like we have buffer.
During these periods of time, so I've only had a couple of other situations in my lifetime.
Okay.
I'm able to stand before you and say that. Why Libby?
Well, cool. What happened there, guys?
I think we all can agree there's one thing we want to do. We want to capture the person or persons responsible for this crime.
Of what my eyes have seen and what the eyes of these fellows behind me have seen, that you haven't seen.
My role is to supervise and lead the FBI's criminal investigations across the state of Indiana.
And I would suggest to you that every time something like this happens, a little piece of us dies as well.
This is a case that there's lots of evidence out there, but it needs to be matched up with a person, and that hasn't been done yet.
We have not given up on this. We are still into this to the end.
I know of what's still going on. We're not even anywhere close to a cold case, in my professional opinion.
Officers have never really gotten down on this case. I think they've frustrated maybe, but as far as solving this thing, it's something that's we've always felt like we're going to solve this case.
Today's the day. Today's the day. Like I said, we get closer every day. Whether that's eliminating this haystack that we have, or trying to find a needle in the haystack, we're looking closer and closer.
I feel like I should call you Jerry instead of Sergeant, because I feel like this is really personal. When I see you and all of your colleagues all wearing different uniforms from different jurisdictions and detachments, I feel like this is really personal.
Yes, it is. I knew I'd start choking up a little bit. But I want to go back to you were asking them about how the police treated them during this investigation, and I've said this multiple times. I've tried so hard to put myself in these people's shoes, and I can't do it. Can't do it. I try. I don't even want to be in my shoes, let alone their shoes. But when I was standing at the bottom of that hill that night, like every other investigator, we thought, you're going to laugh at this, but first 48, we'll have somebody in custody. And we didn't. And then reality set in, and it really hit home. But I will say this, we will treat these family members with the utmost compassion, because they've been so cooperative with us. And I feel Mike's pain. I got 2 tips on me, and I'll probably get one after this because I have a raspy voice. Now, The tip itself doesn't bother me because I know I did not do this. I know where I was. I was working. What hurt me is they said I was heavy set and had a chubby face.
Hey, that's better what they said about me. Said I was too fat to be the guy. So good time to be chubby, I guess. Huh?
But it does take a toll on every investigator that's involved. But it is personal because this is our job. Our job is to find the person responsible for this heinous crime and to bring them to justice. Like I said at the very beginning, for Abby and Libby and their families. And we will continue to do that, and we will deal with the stress and the frustration and all the bashing from social media and whoever else. That's fine. Come to us, though. Like they said, come to us. We're trained to deal with that, and we will continue to investigate this until we have it solved.
I want to play one more thing, and that is that there are two ways of solving crimes. There's the work that you're doing, which is invaluable, and there's the work that we can all do, which is invaluable as well. And to that end, it extends with your surrounding community and your neighbors, your friends, people of not just Delphi, but people of Indiana and the people across the country who have come out for you to tell you that they support you in any way they can, even if just thinking of you. And we've compiled a little bit of that, what it kind of looks like and sounds like as well. Can we play that?
On February 14th, they were found victims of a double homicide. This horrible crime has torn a hole in our families that'll never heal.
It's a worry for this community. It's a worry for everybody.
You can feel the pain. Yeah, everybody is devastated.
It's a terrible thing, and it's affected people, even like me, who's not doesn't know anybody involved. I still want to cry for them.
It's just very sad. People just ask why. To these two innocent little girls, why? Why do people do things like this? It's just not fair. It's not right.
Every time they drive by a house and see an orange light on, they'll be reminded. And remembering is a really important thing in a situation like this.
There's a lot of things that we're not going to have anymore. There isn't going to be a prom. There aren't going to be weddings. College. Those things that you just think you're going to be having.
And this is the first Christmas we won't have Libby with us, so we'll wait and see how things unfold.
We're not going to give the real killer a break. We're going to keep searching for him and make his world smaller.
Anna, does it help you? Does it buoy you? Does it support you to know that so many people are there with you?
It's amazing. It doesn't, it's like all you folks here, right? We didn't see all of you come in when we were back there, and then to come out here and go, they're all here for us.
I think there's 1,000 people here. I think
people they didn't even know. And we've gotten an opportunity to speak with some of you, and I hope we get to speak with more of you, and thank you for being here and praying for us. We hear that a lot, and we ask that you continue to do so. These years are going to keep going by, and life isn't the same for us anymore, and we know there's a chance that one of you out there could help us finish this, so we thank you.
And I'm going to ask you if you have questions for the panel. In about a minute, we're going to ask you to line up behind the two microphones that are on either aisleway, so you can sort of get organized if you want. Try not to repeat the same questions because we've already answered them, but you can sort of get organized. And I just want to ask you, if I can, Becky, while we're waiting for the audience to get in line, one of the things in that package was the orange light bulbs that people are putting on their front porches. Can you tell me about it?
Libby's mom, one day she put an orange light bulb out and said that she wasn't going to turn it off until we found the killer, and she told us about it, and she took a picture of it, and people started sharing it, and it spread. And there was a lady in Buffalo that decided she wanted her whole town lit up in orange light bulbs. So she started calling some of the electric companies. She called GE, and then she called Westinghouse and asked if they could donate some, because you couldn't find orange light bulbs anymore. They were gone. So she said, could you donate some? And they asked her how many she thought she needed, and she said, oh, a couple hundred. And they said, you know, we'll do that under the condition that you give them away. And she said, okay. A couple days later, she was home, and her husband come in and said, your delivery's here. There's a semi.
A semi?
They sent, was it 2,000?
Yeah, a little over 2,000.
A little over 2,000 light bulbs that Westinghouse sent to them.
Wow. That's great. That's amazing.
So we gave away lots of light bulbs. But you know, I do some traveling. I do a lot of driving for my job. And
every morning
you go driving out there in the middle of the country somewhere. Middle of the day, there'll be an orange light bulb on. Those people don't realize what that light bulb means to us. It's just a light bulb, but that means so much when you drive by and see those light bulbs.
Put your light bulb on, guys. Put your light bulb on. Orange light bulb. Can you take a question from over here? Just maybe say your name first.
My name is Becky Drumright.
Hi, Becky.
I really feel for you guys. I had a son that was murdered, and we didn't ask to be conjoined this way. It's a horrible, horrible feeling. My son was murdered 19 years ago.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
And we feel like we know who did it, but there's no evidence. And I'll never stop talking it up. I'll never stop, because somebody, and we lived in a small community, they know who did it. And that's not my point. My point is my heart goes out to you guys.
Thank you.
And I pray that, that you'll get some closure in this. I pray for myself that I'll get closure.
Too.
I would like to appeal to you to please try to help. It's like you said, getting it out there. Mm-hmm. My son is not out there, and I'll never, ever stop talking about it. His name was Tony Drumright. He was murdered in 1999. And it is on Facebook and places like that. Private investigator that's been working for me, Sheila Wasaki, she's a speaker here. She just did an iPod. Don't know what that is, but I'll find out tomorrow. But
a podcast?
Podcast.
Only 15
Sorry.
years old. Wow.
See, I am not any good. I can't even use my phone.
You're doing great, though.
But anyhow, I want to tell you,
Can you do me a favor? Can you spell that last name just so everyone can look that up?
And please, if everybody would just, okay, the last name is Drumright, Drumwright.
Tony Drumright.
Tony Drumright. Tony was 15 years old. He was executed at our home. We had a wonderful family life, lived in the country, everything going really wonderful for us. And somebody murdered our son. My life's not been the same since.
I'm sorry.
5 years later, my husband found him a woman on the internet. And that's one reason. It's like somebody say, go online. I say, I cringe. No.
Keep in mind, guys,
but anyhow,
this is not the only unsolved murder.
I'm going to find justice for Tony.
I think Becky makes such an amazing point that she didn't want to be in this club. You didn't want to be in this club. There are millions and millions of people who are in this club and don't deserve to be, and they can all be helped by all of us, no matter what it is you're doing. Just know that being there is a huge difference. But also, let's put that flyer back up so you can photograph it with the hashtag Abby and Libby, and you can share whatever tips you might know, anything, get it out on social media, on your feeds, and also the tip line 844-459-5786. Thank you so much,
Let me
Becky.
just say one more thing.
Yeah.
I was president of Crime Stoppers for 3.5 years in our county.
God bless you.
So I saw the corruption that went on and the covering up, and it opened my eyes to a whole lot. It really discouraged me too.
I hope that this gets people looking at your Facebook page for Tony.
I do too.
And I wish
and
you
we're
justice
both
as well.
parents of murdered children, and I'm sure you're affiliated if you've not been contacted by that organization. They've asked me to, and I'm on all kinds of things for grief It's been 20 years. I've got to step back.
Well, God bless you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
really do hope that at least we can get.
Keep in mind what she says, guys. There is a lot of corruption.
Generate some
you very
interest in that
much.
Facebook page as well. Question over here.
I didn't really have a question, but I had a statement. My name's Mark. I'd much rather not let my first name or last name come out.
Sorry, Mark, can you step a little closer?
Sorry.
I didn't hear what you just said.
I want to thank you guys. 2 weeks after you guys did the Dr. Phil show,
Take a moment.
my niece was assaulted in a park, and she was smart enough to use her Snapchat to record the man's voice because she watched you guys on the Snapchat on Dr. Phil, and my brother was a police officer in our town, and they had just arrested him and let him out, and they recognized his voice, and he was a transient that had just gone through.
They caught him.
Yeah, they caught him. And I just want to say thank you to your girls, and thank you.
Unbelievable. Mark, thank you so much for telling us that. Oh my God. Thank you, Mark. The bravery of Libby. She is crime fighting. She is crime fighting. That's just incredible. Thank you for that, Mark.
That gave me
Ma'am?
goosebumps.
I have 2 girls, and I just cannot ever imagine. I do have a question, however.
Take a deep breath. It's hard. Just imagine what everyone's here
In
going
this
through,
day
right?
and age, there are cameras everywhere. I know this was in the woods, but were there entrances? Did it come out anywhere? Where you could see the people during that day that went in and out of the woods?
Sergeant, how about surveillance?
There wasn't necessarily surveillance videos on the trails, but we did get some from local businesses, and I know that was rural, and also trail cams. I don't know, deer hunters. So we have that. We did.
Was there anything more than what the?
No.
That's the image, and that's the sound that we're going on, plus that sketch from the witnesses who saw him.
What did she just say?
And also trail cams. I don't know, deer hunters. So we have that. We did.
Was there anything more than what the?
No.
That's the image, and that's the sound that we're going on, plus that sketch from the witnesses who saw him. Thank you so much.
Okay. It's interesting.
Hi, my name is Emily. Thank you very much for being here. I wanted to know what we...
No, it's afterwards what you said. That's how we got the picture, but apparently it got from Libby or phone.
can do besides sharing on social media, besides getting the word out there to our friends and family and people across the country and the world. What can we do? Is there something that you all need? Do you need, support financially or on a Facebook page or volunteers for something? Just, this is an amazing community, and I know that I'm probably not the only one thinking, I have time, and how can I spend that?
If you want to help, we got a group. It is a Facebook page, and we started it. And it's not to discuss the case, because we don't feel that we're able to do any more for them in solving the case. But it's called Brainstorming for Abby and Libby. And what it is, it's a group to do nothing but brainstorm, think outside the box, and let's get his face out there. We want his face in every single store, gas station, in every town across America. and beyond. We've had ladies that have contacted every police department, every county police department in the U.S., in all 50 states. It was what, 300 and...
No, it was 1,362, I think, or something like that.
They did every police station.
Or something.
There's a group of them right now that is contacting every college campus and they're sending the flyers to all the college campuses to be put out. They've started contacting the campgrounds. There's different places. They're asking for some help to do the homeless shelters. So we have, if you've got time and you want to help brainstorming for Abby and Libby, it's on Facebook. We'd love to have you.
It's fantastic. It's Emily?
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Emily.
Thank you.
I do think you're right. I think everybody's here for a reason, right? I think you really are emotionally connected in some way to this case. And share, absolutely. Abby and Libby is the hashtag and the tip line. Again, let's pop it up there and photograph it and send it out. But that's a great way. I think that's a brilliant strategy. Think outside the box.
I want to qualify a couple things. I think it was over 3,000 counties. Think about how many states there are and how many counties are in each state. So that was a big task for that group to send out over 3,000 to each county. And also in the flyer, I just want to get this straight. In the flyer for this crime con, if you read in there, it says February 12th.
Wrong. Right. That's not it.
That is incorrect. I don't want somebody to think that things got twisted around. It was just a misprint, okay? No conspiracy here. We're not trying to cover anything up.
The crime was on the 13th.
February 13th.
2017.
When the girls went missing.
And then if you see February 14th, that was when their bodies were discovered. So if you see those two dates, that's the difference in those two dates, and there is no February 12th. That was the day your lives were the way they were. February 13th is the day their lives changed.
My name is Amanda, and I am embarrassed to say that I did not know anything about this crime before today. So I was looking online before this event so that I could get some additional information. And it appears that a couple of days ago they took a suspect into custody who looks incredibly like the sketch, and I didn't know if there were any details, like any additional details that you might be able to share about that.
Okay, hold on.
Who looks incredibly like the sketch, and I didn't know if there were any details, like any additional details that you might be able to share about that.
Sergeant?
Who is this? Who are you talking
And
about?
what community did they take a suspect into custody?
Daniel Nations. Just look at the genuine. So if people think that these people actually were involved with this, look at the grandma and mother's reaction. We go back.
They like.
Because I love micro expressions. I told that yesterday, but it's really important. Look how questions he looks.
And I am embarrassed to say that I did not know anything about this crime before today. So I was looking online before this event so that I could get some additional information. And it appears that a couple of days ago they took a suspect into custody who looks incredibly like the sketch, and I didn't know if there were any details, like any additional details that you might be able to share about that.
Sergeant?
Who is this? Who are you talking
And
about?
what community did they take a suspect into custody?
Daniel Nations, person of interest in Delphi murders, pleads guilty to unrelated charges.
That's a fascinating point.
Please,
He was
Chair.
actually taken into custody quite some time ago, but
I don't know who ever called him a person of interest. We don't.
See, and this is where we get the rumors out of the way, though. That's why I'm showing this. Because there are so many speculations. There are so many rumors going on.
We don't use that term, or we'd have 35,000 persons of interest.
But understand, Sergeant, she's seen the headlines, and there were headlines suggesting this might be a person of interest. So you're not wrong, absolutely.
We have. I'll answer this. We have no evidence to include or exclude Daniel Nations from this.
Okay. Okay.
Daniel Nations, for anybody who remembers the story and maybe who doesn't, and Amanda, you bring up a really good point, and thank you for doing that. Daniel Nations was a man who was in Colorado. He's from Indiana. He was in Colorado on a hiking trail, menacing someone with a hatchet. Was it a hatchet? Right? And so he was brought in Colorado, and He eventually was brought to
Morning.
Indiana and questioned about this particular crime. And while no one has been cleared in this crime as a suspect, Daniel Nations is not a person of interest. And I don't know if there's anything more you can share about that, or if I've pretty much...
So for every single person that is watching that post shit on Reddit that Daniel Nation actually did it, here's your proof.
much laid that out.
Well, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add to that is the fact that we've had a lot of tips, and working with, being close, obviously, to this case, I kind of stay in tune with some of it. This was just one tip that happened to get caught up in the social media and the actual news media, and that's what took it over the top. And I'll be honest with you, I've been battling that ever since that got released. I wish it never would have, because you don't know how many people we go to shows to, and they come up and they say,
You already got that guy. What
they
about
arrested that guy, didn't they? Colorado, maybe? Like, no.
Sorry about that.
No. I'm glad you brought it up, because
it clears the air.
Yeah, I want to clear the air. I mean, they got 1,000 people in here, and it's time to tell people, we don't have an arrest. We're still looking for this guy.
So I have to confess that you can see us, and we can see a big monitor in front of us and a clock. And I actually didn't even look at the clock because I was so fascinated with the conversation. I feel like this conversation could go on for another 3 hours, and unfortunately, CrimeCon won't allow that. But I just wanted to thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of everyone in the audience, for being as...
So that's why I'm watching this, and that's why I think it's so fascinating, because family members actually tend to slip up. Even Holman slipped up by saying that the first sketch was Mike Patty. That's not public information, guys. That's not public information. Mike Patty even says that he looks like the sketch. He has facial features, and he looks like Bridge Guy. So they're gonna stop with that, but there are 2 more crime cons though, so let's listen to that. Unfortunately, I do not have like the whole. I'm not entirely sure if I can find it here. I don't think I can. If you guys can find a link to the whole CrimeCon of 2020, that would be neat.
There is a turn in the investigation. Investigators would like to know if you've had any interaction on any social media sites with Anthony Schatz. Explain that, Kelsey, if you will.
So there was an account, it was active from 2016 and 2017, Anthony_Schatz on Instagram, as well as other social media platforms, and they're just asking that anybody that's ever communicated with this account come forward and talk to them.
And one of the people connected to that site is Kagan Klein, and our producer Barbara has spoken to him. Let's hear that, and then we'll come back out and chat about it.
I feel like I'm being harassed completely.
Did you have anything to do with the murders of Abby or Libby?
Not at all. I gave up my DNA, a hair follicle test. I've done everything they wanted me to.
So Anthony Schatz, that person has been cleared and feels terrible about what had happened. His images were used for that. Mike, you've been down this road, meaning where investigators may be looking into someone, and you have told me you don't want to get your hopes up when it comes to believing, hey, this could be it.
Yeah, you can't let your emotions run up and down this roller coaster ride. Obviously, every time the police investigate something just like this Anthony Schatz account, I mean, this is a great opportunity for the public, and that's what we're here for, is to communicate this out and ask for help. And that's what the police asked for, was anything specific to that account, anybody that had interaction with that. So this is the same thing. I mean, we always have hope, right, every day that this is going to come to fruition. But again, we're reserved. I'm really waiting on the call from law enforcement, because those are the people that's going to make the arrest for us. But it's all folks like yourselves, and every time Susan or Barbara or anybody does something for us, it's just a method to get the message out there, because somebody out there knows something. And if you've had any interaction with that Anthony Schatz account, or like my wife said, think about the girls back that were in the 16, 17 time frame, if they were 12 to 15, 16 years old, those are young women today. Well, go back and maybe look at some of the older iPhones or iPads, or ask them today, hey, did you have any interaction with that account? And really think about that. And Libby always asks for a minute. Well, give her a minute. I mean, a minute's not that much time to really talk about this and go through it. And if you have something that may have reached out to that account, please come forward with that information. The police are needing that information.
And for those who aren't familiar with what happened, I think I'm assuming that everybody does. It was a Monday afternoon. The girls, Abby and Libby, had the day off from school. It was a makeup snow day. It was unseasonably warm. And they asked Kelsey, Libby did, if they could have a ride to the trails. And Kelsey said yes, dropped them off. And that was the last time she saw them. The next day, their bodies were found. And this family has never been the same. And Paul Holes, as most of you know, retired investigator, he has seen a lot and knows just what this can do to an entire family. And Paul is here to discuss just the heartache that everyone goes through, considering if they live through something happening to a loved one.
Well, no, that's absolutely correct. And this is where, law enforcement has an obligation to do everything they possibly can to get the family an answer. It doesn't bring the loved ones back, right? But it most certainly is something that we need to get an answer, and then there's the public safety component. The type of crime that this individual did is something that may be repeated. And this individual is a dangerous man, and he needs to be taken off the streets, and he needs to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
And you understand it more than most. A mind that would do something like this is capable of it. You say they're able to stop this type of behavior for a chunk of time.
Absolutely. And that's what, I've personally seen with various individuals that I've looked at for my cases is, there are individuals that are more regular in terms of the crimes that they commit. They're periodic. Then there are individuals that will do crimes in clusters. And, this goes to personality types. This goes to what's going on in their lives. Is there a certain type of stress that they're experiencing, a loss of a job, a divorce, and then they strike out at innocent individuals as a result of that.
You talk openly in your book about being so dedicated to this, to the victims and to their families, but at a cost with your own personal life. And by no means are you saying this is easy.
No, well, it's not easy. These are horrific crimes, and everybody working this case, what they have been subjected to as the professional side is of course going to be taking its toll as they continue to try to solve this case. But it doesn't compare to what the family has gone through, and that's really what the important part of this is, and it's really to try to keep law enforcement on the right track to make sure that they get the answer. And again, it's not going to bring the loved ones back.
And you say that an investigator is wrong until they're right. What do you mean by that?
Well, when you have an unsolved case, there's all sorts of investigative leads that come in, either from witnesses, various tips, even physical evidence. And as you march down those investigative leads, you develop individuals that you think are potentially responsible. And sometimes you end up thinking, well, I've got the right guy here, only to have something like a DNA elimination occur. But part of the complexity is that we are so reliant on circumstantial evidence, and you have to be. I mean, that's just part of us as humans, is trying to evaluate the world and the case. And sometimes you can be blind to the evidence and the circumstantial evidence. You think, oh, I've got this bit of information and it adds up. This is the guy. But then there's other aspects that don't seem to add up as much, but you have a tendency to ignore that. And I've done that.
Because the desire is to want to catch the bad guy, and you eliminate what doesn't fit with your theory, and you bring in what does.
It's bias.
And you say for 2 years you had the wrong guy with the Golden State Killer. You thought, this is him, I know I have him.
Yes.
And then you didn't.
That's just it, and that's where in that particular case, I kind of chose the details within the case file that matched this guy, and there was details that didn't, and I said, well, I can excuse that. I can make it, come up with a reason why that doesn't work. And then ultimately, the DNA evidence showed I was wrong. And that's when, I stepped back and I reassessed, and there's a great article out there by Dr. Rossmo called Criminal Investigative Failures. And this is a trap that all investigators can fall into, and you make the failure by picking a suspect and trying to make the evidence fit. And what you need to do is have the evidence and see if the suspect fits the evidence. So that's something that I learned the hard way.
And Becky, it reminded me a little bit of how you post every day, even a couple hours ago, that today is the day. Meaning an investigator's wrong until he's right. Today is the day, eventually it will be the day. Has that been inspiring to other people? It's inspiring to me.
Well, every day, it's the hope every day. You get up and you think, that's how we have to look at it every day. Today could be the day. So I post that out there as a reminder that it's coming, and maybe today's the day.
President. Okay, let me see.
That is the goal. It's justice for Abby and Libby, and it's a turning point this year. They would have graduated from high school, cut short by that brutal murderer who cut those girls' lives short on February 13th, 2017. I want to bring in the family members who have been so resilient and just fighting for justice all the way through. I want to bring in, of course, Kelsey German, who you may know from different panels, now become an advocate, Libby's sister. Tara German, Libby's aunt, is here as well. Also want to bring in Becky Patty, the grandmother of Libby. And I've gotten to know the family so well through the years, through just heartache and looking at Libby's gravesite and what should have been a year of celebratory times and just the heartbreak. And first, welcome to all of you. And we've seen each other through the last couple of days, and it's so welcoming, and you're so warm and so open and resilient to continue this fight. Kelsey, I'll start with you on this year and how difficult it's been. But if you go through your Instagram, even your first day of your senior year, you say, I miss you, I wish you were here. But all of these times are difficult in their own right.
Yeah, this has been the most challenging year. Libby should have been doing all of these amazing things. She should have been graduating, starting college, getting her driver's license, like all of these things that she could have done, she should be doing, she's not. And all of these big milestones in my life that are happening that she's missing. So every single one of them, I try to remember her, and I try to make sure that I'm honoring her in the best way I can through all of my big wins and all of the wins she should have had.
And Becky, we spoke yesterday. And I know that, Kelsey, that you said you feel her kind of there with you.
Oh yeah, all the time. I actually have a tattoo that says, I can't see you, but I can feel you. And that's because in all of those moments, and every single moment that happens, whether it's good or bad, or no matter what I'm going through, she's always there, and I always feel her presence right there with me every step of the way, holding my hand, giving me a hug, just making sure, encouraging me to go on when I don't feel like I can.
And just those moments that we take for granted, you said that Libby would come in your room and say, what should I wear? Does this look good? And those were cut off, those moments.
Yeah, so she's not here anymore for that. I can't go in there and talk to her about boys. I can't tell her about Caleb. I can't tell her all the amazing things that are happening for me. And she can't be there to talk to me about all of the other things that are happening in my life and what should be happening in hers.
And Kelsey has been sending me pictures, as you're seeing, and video. And Tara, there you are with Libby. We see still photographs. What was she like as a person, just in your relationship together? It's okay. I know it's your first time here at CrimeCon or even talking about this, and it's excruciating, it's tough. And this is the reality of it. The reality is it's heartbreaking. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay. And that's why we're here. And Becky, you know that you said to me that this is Tara's first time talking about this, and being able to speak about it and be okay. No one's really okay. They just talk about it to keep it in the public eye. Because I was speaking to Becky at the table earlier, this was yesterday, and she said, someone came up and said, oh, I thought that was solved. So that is what you don't want, because we want to get this guy that did this more than 4 years ago. And that's what's at stake. And Becky, that's what keeps you going.
That's exactly what keeps us going. That's, the girls deserve this. They deserve us. Libby did everything she could to help us out. And it's now our job to keep it out there, to keep the pressure on this guy, to never let him think that he's got away with this, to think that we aren't searching for him, because we are. And we're not giving up. He's messed with the wrong family.
And Becky, you've been to CrimeCon a couple times now, and you have a story, and maybe Tara could talk to this, on your trip here with Mike carpeting the car. If you could explain the vehicle that you had to get and why.
You got to know my husband.
I think a lot of them know. In New Orleans, he was on stage, and he's been talking about this, of course, and Libby's grandfather. So explain the kind of vehicle you needed.
Well, we were bringing all the stuff because we're setting up a booth, and rental vehicles are hard to come by, and he didn't want me to pull a trailer, so I thought, okay, I'll get a 14-passenger van, and I can put everything in there. Well, you couldn't. So I ended up getting this cargo creeper van. But it only seats 2 people. There's 2 seats.
Wait, I'm guessing you guys couldn't hear me, right?
We flew Kelsey down so she wouldn't have to ride with us, but then Libby's other grandma decided she wanted to go too, but we only had 2 seats, and now there's 3 of us. So I can bring in this van home, and there's no insulation, nothing inside, and this thing is just clanging and banging. And I told Mike, I said, my gosh, this thing's loud. So he says, I'll work on that. And he goes out, and we have some extra carpet when we had carpet put in the house. And he's out there the night before. He's cutting carpet to lay down in the floor. We're looking like a shaggin' wagon here. And we took a lawn chair. He took a lawn chair. And we've got snatch 'em straps. You know? We have our own seat in the back here.
Okay, just keep in mind, guys, since I did not turn my volume up, I was talking apparently to myself. Hashtag schizophrenia. But anyways, I made a new channel since Google decided to log me out for whatever reason, and I did not set up a recovery account. And now I made a new account, so this channel will be obsolete, and I will be streaming on that new account. I just said it in chat. That's the Let's Talk Crime, well, not the channel, but the link that I made for my new YouTube channel. So if you like my videos, please subscribe.
And he made a seatbelt and everything. And one of our friends, he's a cop, happened to come by when Mike was fixing this up. And I said, if you stop me, would you give me a ticket? And he looked in there, and he shook his head and he said, no. No, I wouldn't give you a ticket, but I would sure take some pictures. So this is what we'll do to come here to make sure we get that story out.
How was that ride here?
She rode in it most of the time.
Tara, I saw that you posted some pictures on Facebook. What do you think Libby would say if she saw that?
Oh, she'd have done the same thing I did. You catch every one of them sleeping, you're snapping pictures, and you're posting them on Facebook.
I saw that. Of Becky sleeping. I don't know if you know this. You're
I wasn't
on Facebook.
sleeping.
She's on her phone.
You're resting your eyes?
No, I was on my Facebook.
So, Kelsey, I know you said that this is a moment in time almost, that you have the image of your sister in 8th grade, and she would have graduated this year. You said you'll always be an 8th grader to me.
Oh yeah, Libby will. All of her friends are still 8th graders. I refused to believe that they graduated, and I told every single one of that at their graduation parties. They're still all children. They're all 8th graders, and that's what they'll always be to me. I still see them as those little girls that were hanging out in Libby's bedroom or trying to scare me in my bedroom while I was sleeping, like that right there. That's just what they are. They'll always be that to me.
This has changed everything for you, and of course at CrimeCon we see a connection and you connecting with other people who feel the way you do or who have experienced something that you have experienced, because I can say that I know how you feel and I really don't. It's about the people who have gone through something just as heartbreaking to connect with you and for others to see and say, okay, if she can make it, then I can make it. Or how has she gotten through this? And if she can get through this, then I can get through what I'm going through in my life. And have you felt that through connecting at CrimeCon with various families?
Oh, definitely. CrimeCon's the place where my advocacy started. If I wouldn't have went to CrimeCon the first year, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't continue to advocate for Abby and Libby, and I think it's because I get to meet those people who are going through exactly what I'm going through. That's where I created my support system, and I just want to continue to come and make sure that I'm able to say, hey, I did this. This is what I'm doing, and I want to help you. And I hope all of those family members feel comfortable to come up and talk to all of us. I think we're all willing to talk to them about their stories and continue to help them share, just like we've been able to while we're here.
And I know you've been to several CrimeCons, various cities. I assume that everyone knows about the case, but if they don't, if you could take us through that. February 13th, 2017, you dropped the girls off at the bridge. If you could take us through it just so people understand what happened if they don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was the day off school in February. It was very warm for February in Indiana. I know some people don't understand that, but when it's normally winter in February, 40 or even 50 or 60 degrees is super warm. So we just wanted to go out and enjoy the day, or they did, before I went to work, and I offered to drop them off. So I dropped them off around 1:30, maybe a little bit after, and I got the call a little while later, around 4 o'clock, that they weren't answering their phone, and that's kind of when the search started. And that night, there were people all over in the woods with flashlights. People from all over were there looking, and it wasn't until the next day that they were found.
And Becky, I know when you first heard the girls aren't there where they were supposed to be for the pickup, were you immediately panicked, or how did that day go for those who don't know about what happened in those 2 days in 2017?
Derek, Libby's dad, called me, called about 3:30. Tara works with me, so we were in the office, and he called and he said, Libby's not answering her phone. I've been calling and she's not answering. And anybody knows Libby knows that that's not normal. She doesn't not answer her phone. So Tara and I proceeded to try to call and text and everything we could do, and there was no answer. So it was about 4 o'clock. We decided we were going to go searching. Tara went ahead and left. She went on to the bridge. I had to let the dogs out and do some things. I called Mike at that time and said, we're headed to the trails because Libby's not answering her phone, and Derek's been trying to get a hold of her for about an hour, and he's done some walking and he hasn't seen him. So we're going to go look. And then he said, let me tie up some things here and I'll be there. Tara went straight there. As I was pulling out, one of my other son, Cody, was pulling in, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, Libby's not answering her phone. She's at the trails. We're going to go look. So we decided if they should happen to walk home, that there's 2 different directions that they
Good
could
to see you live, Ninja.
possibly walk. So we decided to drive both of those routes that she could have taken. So we were a little bit later getting there than what Tara was, because we drove both of the routes and everything before we got there. We were all, the rest of the family showed up. I called AT&T, which was our service provider, to see if they could ping Libby's phone. And if you don't have that on their phone, you can't. I have found out that they won't do it. I begged them to ping her phone, that we knew something. But in an hour or so, we knew something.
There will be,
We
Aaron?
weren't sure what, but we knew something wasn't right.
There will be.
So I was on the phone with them.
Yeah, just to say, I'm not wanting to delete this channel, but since I pretty much can't, but Google decided to throw me out my own account. And since I made that in a hurry, I did not get a recovery email, and I have an old phone number that I used, and it's not letting me get any access. So I made a new channel, and I hope you guys will watch the live as well. I'm doing a marathon right now. I might actually switch over in a few minutes to my new channel, but I will say so. It's probably going to be after this one is gone, or after this CrimeCon is done, then I will probably switch over.
Forever. And finally I got off the phone, and Mike come walking up to me, and by this time it was about 20 after 5, and it was going to start getting dark soon. And I told him, I said, it's going to be dark. We need to call the police. Something's wrong. Libby's afraid of the dark, so I know she ain't going to be staying out. So we called the police, and I had been trying to get a hold of Anna. So we called the police, and I told Mike that I was going to go to Anna's house to try to get a hold of her, because I couldn't get a hold of her on the phone. So I went to her house, and her grandfather told me that she was at work, and so I was driving over to work when she called me. They had us then at that time go up to the police station, but we posted on Facebook, has anybody seen Abby or Libby? Please call us. The typical things that people do when they've got a missing child. And it was amazing.
That's my new channel, guys.
Because that night, when we did finally leave the police station, we drove out there, and there were flashlights everywhere. Everywhere you went. The community, people came from all around, even on that night, to look for the girls. They had us go home at that time and pick up all devices, all electronic devices that Libby may have been on. They started searching devices at that point in time. And it was about midnight that they called me to the back room, and there was a group of them. I remember the room being full. And they said, we have to call the search off for the night. It's too dangerous out there. in the dark to continue. We'll start again first daybreak when it gets light. And I knew the temperature had dropped. It dropped a lot. And the girls were just in t-shirts and a light jacket. And I asked him, I said, it's going to get down to freezing. Will the girls be able to survive the night? And they said they've got youth on their side. So we went out and drove around and searched some more. And finally, Mike told me that he was going to take me home. He needed somebody there in case somebody needed to call us, or if Libby showed up, or if something, that we needed somebody there. So I went home to wait to see at that point in time. But even after they stopped the search, much of the community said no. Mm-hmm. So they reconvened at the fire department, and a lot of the civilians and fire department and some of the police even at went back out and searched that night. There was people out there all night.
And the next day, when did you find out that it was not the news, obviously, that anyone wanted to hear?
Do what?
When did you find out that it wasn't the news that everyone wanted to hear the next day when you found out the girls had been murdered?
They had us all broke up into different search groups. So our family got separated. Kelsey was in one search
Aaron,
group.
I have some really interesting theories about
Mike was in another
that.
search group. Derek was in another.
I made a podcast yesterday, definitely listen to that. It's also 5 hours long, but in the end, we will discuss something
out by our house. We were out
that's
doing
really
this field out in
interesting,
the middle of
especially
nowhere.
about Kelsey.
And it was muddy. It was terrible.
And we'll probably, since we'll be streaming all day long,
probably
we'll probably
11:30.
be talking about it as well.
And one of our friends come running up and said her husband called her and that they found the girls. So we were so excited. We didn't think to ask anything else, but they were found. So we jumped in our cars and we got there. We got to the trailhead and I went running up and I'm like, where are they? Where are they? They need us. Libby needs me. And one of the firefighters was there and he said, they haven't found him. And I said, oh yeah, I got a call. They found
It
him.
did cause a lot of problems.
And he said, no. And I remember looking over and my sister was sitting. She was sitting on a cart. And she was crying. And I went running over there and I said, they found him, they found him, they found him. And all she could do was sit there and cry. And
Yeah,
she kept saying,
that's right,
I'm sorry.
public. He was.
I'm sorry. She was with one of the groups that found him. So we knew before even the fire department and some of them knew. I remember sitting there with her. And about that time, Mike and you guys were there. I remember Mike taking me to the truck. And I was sitting there waiting because he was going to talk to somebody. And I remember the coroner's van driving by. And that's when I knew that they found him, but not alive. So it was shortly after that they called us up to the fire department. They called the whole family to the fire department to officially tell us that 2 bodies had been found, but they couldn't say it was the girls. We're in a small community. Mm-hmm. 2 girl bodies were found. Now, who do you think that is? So that's
why this case is so obsessing, though, because it is indeed a small community. And if they say that the person that did this is from Delphi or regularly visits it, then it should be easily solved, right? I mean, we all come up with different theories on who it was, but we don't have jack shit, guys. Let's be honest. We don't have anything to build a case out of. And that's why I was showing that crime from 2018, because that's a fresh memory. And he says that investigator, that lead investigator says that Mike Patty was the first sketch. Then why do we get a false lead on that? Is it to confuse? Is it gaslighting? Because that's a technique that a lot of people use. To tell it as a truth, but to use it as a deception. To see how a person reacts.
We found out. And the former prosecutor said the first night that he heard Robert Ives, he thought, the girls may have just gotten in some sort of fight. They didn't know. And they thought, because this is unprecedented for this to happen in Delphi, that's why they didn't know. And soon
Well,
after,
Erin,
they
keep listening.
realized,
Keep listening.
what a hero both girls were to go through this, both Abby and Libby. But for Libby to take the picture that she took of the still photo of that person on the bridge.
And here we go again. That's every single fucking news segment that we heard, that Libby is a hero because of taking that segment. So you have a website, Actors Ruse, that contains one of the most specific information about this case whatsoever. And I do understand they want the hero question out here because those girls were killed terribly. But I think it's unfair for Abigail as well as Libby to not be getting the title both that they were heroes. That's a messed up thing. I have a totally different theory about that. I think that video is way more longer than they suspected to. How the fuck can, in the 2019 press conference, a cop say before the press conference that he got interviewed, he says, yeah, the girls were in the tape only talking about girly stuff. Do we honestly think, because Gray Hughes got that comment that they were talking about a creepy guy, that's all bullshit. That's a rumor. So we are here to discuss facts. That's the point where people go on a misconception. Because we have all these theories about people who might look like it. That's why I'm showing all these segments. That's why I'm showing like fucking hours long of CrimeCon that 9 out of 10 times there's no relevant information. But each relevant information, that's what we need to consider. Because if an official says that, well, I mean, if you go to this kind of things, you do know your shit, right? I mean, he's a fucking lead investigator. I mean, come on. And still, people refuse that. Same with the Ron Logan shit. First off, he does not look like Bridge Guy. Yeah, sure. How fucking stupid could you be to leave bodies on your own property? Yeah, and that's fucking annoying me, Philippa. I think that's unfair. Is it the way they got murdered, maybe? That it looks like that Libby got focused? Still, they are not there. It doesn't matter the way you got killed. I think Abby deserves as much attention as Libby. And I think it's unfair to relate to a hero status if a police officer actually says that they were talking about girly stuff before. I think Libby was recording way before Bridge Guy came into the picture. And those 33 seconds, that's really short. If they captured recording. And apparently, it was not relevant enough to share that, according to LE. That's bullshit. What if it's not relevant enough? I will be the fucking one who tells them if it's not relevant enough or not. They are not releasing that for a reason. That reason that can be used in court. They're not releasing the cause of death if they were sexually abused, and I think they were, because how the fuck otherwise could undergarments be under that bridge the next day? Well, yeah, that's probably just me. It's all these kinds of evidence that people just look over. That's why I make this video, and that's why I'm so stressed out about it. I mean, guys, there is so much evidence in these kind of videos.
and to hear the sound. And if we could play it for those who haven't heard it, she hit record on her phone, and it's guys down the hill.
Now, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's pissing me just so much off. There could be. We do not know if he's the killer. We do not know that. Maybe he's just giving them instructions to get off that bridge. We do not know that. That's how little information we got. We got a still photo that's so fucking blurry that even fucking the Pope can't see it.
What we've been able to hear. Let's listen to it.
Downhill. Downhill. Downhill.
And that's what Libby was able to get on her cell phone during this, and thinking about what she may have been going through. And Kelsey, when you hear that voice, I know you've said in the past, it sounds familiar, but you just don't know.
But that's the same shit with the murder sheet. And we're going to go that once I switch to my new channel. Because honestly, guys, I'm going to set a timeline. I'm going to set everything straight. If there's something contradictory, fine. I'm going to show you a video that is contradictory to that. I'm going to prove every single thing that we research. And I say we because I want to involve you guys. I want to learn as well. I'm not always right, sure, but I know pretty much when somebody's lying. And that's the shit we are trying to get the confusion out of the way.
Even though you think, who is this? This has to be solved.
It does. It sounds so familiar. It's like it could be anyone. I think when we hear it, we think it could be anyone in the community. It's somebody. I was working at Dairy Queen at the time. Was it somebody I met there? Was it someone I met at the park? Or was it somebody I met at a gas station? Was he just...
What do I think about murder sheet? Wow. We will come to that after this is done.
standing next to me at a gas station? Or was he next to me at a sporting event? Did he come to my swim meets? Is this somebody that I could have met before? And I think it's just something that it's there. There's a memory. That voice is familiar. But where's it coming from? Why am I remembering it?
And that is the question, and the investigation, as you know, has been quote unquote tight-lipped, meaning we don't want to give too much information away because only the killer would know this information. And any brutal crime or violent crime that happens near Delphi, someone becomes someone that they would look into, authorities, or a person of interest, what have you, but not a suspect. And Kelsey, who has been an advocate for so many, and of course for her sister, of course, and her best friend Abby, online has had to face people saying, when it comes up in the news, oh, this person is it.
Aaron, I did a video on that, and believe me, I got a lot of hate for that, but I do not really care about that.
Because Becky, as you know, I've spoken to Mike, who said, look, we've been on this roller coaster before.
People call you crazy really fast, but that's fine enough, though.
And then it's not. And the highs of that, and then the lows, it can eliminate the hope that you hold on to, right, Kelsey?
Absolutely. So these people will post side
Oh, your
by
name is
side,
Irene, isn't
or
it?
I'm
sorry.
This is the new
The
suspect.
sketch, and then the person who has committed some sort of crime or allegedly in the area, and they post it side by side, which can be damaging for the case at hand or for that person.
Yeah, and it's like, it could be anyone, but it can't be all of them. So they share these innocent people, and people start believing that that's the person, and they start believing that an arrest has been made, and they start congratulating us when there's nothing to congratulate us for.
And it is what a lot of people are talking about, because April 22nd, the new sketch, you both have seen this. This was the first sketch, and then this. So the April 22nd, it was we're going in a new direction.
Okay, so let's switch back, right? Let's switch back. Let's keep that in mind.
Down the hill.
Okay, let me see.
Down the hill. This was Libby's cell phone.
100,000 likes or something, you know, quickly, and it gets out there. But people jump to conclusions. I mean, let's face it, this guy, this sketch, I have features that resemble that. Most Midwestern guys, you know, with my build and stature, can look like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Being questioned and scrutinized.
It's the worst kind of famous.
Person that we're looking for that's on the bridge.
You know, I'm glad that you said that because, yeah, why so many, I'm pressing you here, obviously.
You can ask the tough questions, I'll answer them. Again, it takes a lot of time. I'm not a sketch artist, but the FBI actually, an agent from the FBI did this sketch. And, you know, I think when somebody sketches, it takes like 10 minutes. It takes several weeks. But to get the information, to find the people that we believe
Sup, USA
saw that
Libertarian?
person that day near the time of the murders, that takes months. So we had to locate these people, interview them, find out who they really saw. Did they really see the guy on the bridge from the video, or did they see Mike out there helping search?
I rest my case.
Or did they see somebody else out there helping with the search?
Someone who looks very young, opposed to the original sketch. And so there is some discrepancy in terms of who do we look for? Is it someone in town? Do you find yourself looking over your shoulder at all, Tara, in town? Or is there a feeling of calm that this will be solved by authorities? What does it feel like?
I'm not sure that we'll ever feel calm again.
Yes.
But we always look over our shoulder. Our job, we drive miles and miles, and we catch each other looking at the person coming up beside us, just traveling down the road, people walking. We'll be sitting in a restaurant, and we're staring at these people. You know, could this be the person? Hey, this person fits. Oh, he's got reddish brown hair. Or we're always looking over our shoulders to see, hey,
Second
could this be the
femininity.
person?
Could be.
We're picking and looking into these people, and these people are probably looking at us like, what are these crazy ladies doing? Like, why do they keep staring at us? We pulled up to a stoplight one day. We both were sitting there staring at this car beside us. Neither one of us knew. I kind of looked over, and Mom was looking over at this person, and this person's looking at us like, what's happening right now? We do that a lot. Everywhere we go, everywhere we turn, people, I'll go through my friends list on Facebook and say, okay, could this be the person?
Irene, are you a local?
Your trust in anybody really has gone out the door. It could be anybody.
And Becky, I say when, not if. When this person is caught, what are you expecting to feel or hoping to feel? Will there be, I know there's no such thing as closure, a peace, a sense of, I guess, justice?
Somebody asked me today what justice meant. The only way there could be justice is if our girls were back.
Mm-hmm.
There will be peace, not peace. There will be a sigh of relief, because first off, he's caught, and he can never do this to another family. I will feel better that this guy is behind bars, and he'll be getting his justice. I want this guy in general population. I could go to bed with a smile on my face then. I don't know. I guess you won't know till the time comes.
You said to me yesterday, I said, how do you not live in anger or just have this unjust feel that most of us would imagine we would feel? And you said, well, then that would mean he would win.
He would win. He's already taken so much from our lives that I refuse to let him take more. You know, he took Libby from us physically, but he didn't take her from us. We had our own graduation.
What's up, Jenna? Welcome.
We still celebrate everything with Libby. A lot of times when we're talking, people wouldn't even know that she's gone, that we just...
Okay, Jenna, just let me just clearly say I'm not on the TK side. Honestly, I'm not. You might hear a murder sheet or whatever, but I think they're a lying bunch of shit because that's what lawyers do. I honestly think it's really strange that that is the only podcast that I can access information about a closed case. And it just frustrates me. It just so frustrates me because there's clear evidence that it's not them. It's rumors that are being told, right, about the red pickup truck? That's a rumor. It's not a fact. And if you want to believe that, that's fair enough. But do you honestly think that a fat lazy dude who catfishes girls and wants to take nude pictures is capable of murdering two little girls without a struggle? Do we honestly think that?
Include, we do things, we try to make sure we do things on vacation that she would have liked to do. Just like last night, I rode a scooter.
And Kelsey, I read this, I believe on Twitter, what you said about forgiveness. And I'd like you to read it if you don't mind. It's about forgiving that person without saying it's okay.
I haven't said this out loud. Oh my goodness. I forgive him, but that doesn't make it okay, or that I don't want justice, or make me any less angry. It means I have peace. If I wouldn't have forgave, I wouldn't be here, and he would have won. I'll never let him win. It took a lot of prayer, a ton of writing and therapy, and a lot of tears, but I have peace.
And do you get through, I'm sure you do, by knowing that Libby is with you and meeting other families who have gone through something similar? Do they have peace? Was it difficult getting to that point?
It was so difficult. I remember the first 2 years, I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to keep going or pushing. I didn't want to fight for her. But I remember talking to one of my friends and them saying, you have to keep doing it because that's what she would want. And I remember at that point, I was like, I have to go to therapy. I have to start reading my Bible again. And that's when I met Caleb. That's when we started talking about our traumas and we started getting through that. And he helped me work to a point where I can say, yes, God is good. He's got this and we're going to get through it. But it took a lot of work to get there. And even if you don't believe in God, I think you can find a lot of peace in the fact that you can get through this. Even if I didn't have that, I think I would have gotten through it. It's just finding that right person and those people that care about you and those people that really understand that trauma is real. And it takes a lot of work to get there.
Speaking of Caleb, you're engaged. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're a junior, right? Studying forensic psychology. What are you hoping to do, the impact that you may have, which you're already doing, by the way?
I'm actually about to start my senior year, so one more year. And then I plan on going into victims advocacy and helping family members for the rest of my life. I feel like that's my passion. That's what I was called to do. I was called to help all of these amazing people that are going through awful things that should never have had to go through it. And it's so important that they have that person that knows what they're going through and really knows, not just the people that are like, oh, I understand, I'm sorry, I can be here for you. No, this is a real person that's really been there and has real emotions and knows that you're going to go through some of those same emotions, maybe differently, but somebody who really understands that is so important to be in your life.
And Tara, that's so true, and I know it's your first time at CrimeCon, but there's people who say, oh, I understand, and then there's people who really understand, who've gone through something similar. Have you found that or met people here?
I have met a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that have told us their story. I may not go up to them and ask them, but I'll send Kelsey over to ask them. And then she'll come back and tell me. So I'm very curious to see how people cope and deal and make it through, and everybody is different. And that's okay. We learn that there's different ways to cope.
Of grieving and of getting through.
And we're
if
still
you
learning.
get through. Right.
And we're still learning. But there are milestones that are harder. Graduation. You know, we should have been having this big party for her and all her friends coming over. Instead,
we froze our butts off out in the cold at her grave and put up my cap and gown for her.
We went to the graveyard and she still has her cap and gown, and we had cupcakes and we celebrated her. So she still got the celebration, but she didn't get the celebration that she deserves.
Which is heartbreaking, because on February 13th, 2 young girls going out to the bridge to have fun on a day off from school and make up snow day. No one would ever have predicted broad daylight. I mean, broad daylight. Who was this? Was it planned? So many questions that investigators are holding tight, that they do know, some they don't know. I did reach out to a detective that Kelsey is close with, and he said, his statement to me was, I just want to say to the family just how great it is that they're continuing the fight. And you're in contact with detectives, right, Kelsey, on a daily basis. If you want to call, they answer, and vice versa.
I have 3 of them that I can contact anytime of the day. Actually, Super Bowl Sunday, I messaged one of them and I was like, this guy is everywhere, I need to talk about him. And I just texted him and I'm like, this is what's out there and I want to make sure you have it. And he answered right away. I'm like, you should be with your family enjoying the Super Bowl, but you're messaging me. And I think that's amazing. I think that's why we can really trust them, and we know that they're doing this, and we know that they're doing all of the right things, because these guys really care. And I know there's so many people that don't have that, and I wish that they did, but we appreciate our guys so much, and we couldn't be more grateful for a better team of detectives.
And Becky, yes, that is true. That you can text them and contact them and call them because of all the unknowns. I could imagine it getting frustrating, wondering, why can't you tell us more? Or why isn't this further along 4 years down the road? And I know you said studying forensics, like you see why maybe they're not there at this point, but they want it as much as you do. That's what I felt in talking to them through the years, and also in seeing that latest email. And Becky, how is Abby's family? I know there's connection through everything, and they were best friends. Not overall, but her mom, I know her grandmother was on the stage with me in New Orleans. And I'm sure it gets difficult for every family member, and they deal with it differently.
They deal with it a little differently than what we do. They're a lot more private. We're a pretty boisterous family anyway, so.
You're carpeting vans to get here.
We respect that. The park has been a real outlet. It's been a labor of love.
Abby and Libby Memorial Park.
As a matter of fact, Abby's grandma, she's down there all the time. I kind of feel guilty that I'm not down there like she is. And
How far along is it? I know the Memorial Park's been a long time coming.
Well, one of the reasons Mike's not here is they're working really hard right now. We're getting to some of the final stages. The electricity is being run.
And it's been through donations of the...
Donation, people just helping. It's just been, we've gotten some wonderful grants. And this park started out to be a set of bleachers. And now we have a 19-acre complex. So
wow.
It's
And wasn't senior night held there with the girls? It was senior night for the girls. I saw a picture on Kelsey's Instagram of the girls being there for senior night, and everyone gathering in front of the park, and a picture of Abby and Libby outside. Was that the Memorial Park?
No, that was actually at Delphi High School. They had their last game, and they honored them on their senior night there.
Are you hoping that everyone gathers at the Memorial Park? I see that happening for
Yes.
the kids
That's
who are
one of the
able to
reasons of
gather.
the push right now, because this would have been Libby's last year play in rec softball. She'd be 18U. And so all of her teammates and all of them, this is their last year, so we're trying very, very hard, because in July there's an Abby Libby Memorial Softball Tournament that has become huge. And it's not done at our town because we don't have anything that could do that. It's in Lafayette. But our goal is for the championship games for those girls to be played at our park. So that's what we're hoping, that they will be the first ones to play.
We hope so. And we're going to open it up to questions in a few minutes, but I do want to say, on your dark days, and advice that you would have, Kelsey, on the days that you're not feeling so.
Right, guys, in a few, I'm gonna start live streaming on my new channel, so make sure you go there if you find it interesting enough.
Right, what advice would you have for those who are going through something similar, who would gather at CrimeCon?
Remember the good memories. Write about it, read about it, and never stop trying to get to that point where you know that you need to keep going for them. And hopefully as you keep going for them, you'll be able to keep going for yourself as well.
Kelsey, Tara, and Becky, you've inspired me.
Right, guys, here we go.